On July 1st, 2017 midnight, India saw what was described as a tryst with economic destiny. Under a ceremonial launch in Parliament Central Hall, the Goods and Services Tax (GST) was rolled out as the most significant economic reform in India's history, revolutionizing the country's indirect tax system. Often referred to as one nation, one tax, the GST has been both transformative but also challenging.
GST न्यू इंडिया की एक टैक्स व्यवस्था है। जीएसटी डिजिटल भारत की टैक्स व्यवस्था है। जीएसटी सिर्फ ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस नहीं है, जीएसटी वे ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस की भी एक दिशा दे रहा है। जीएसटी सिर्फ एक टैक्स रिफॉर्म नहीं है, लेकिन वो आर्थिक रिफॉर्म का भी एक अहम कदम है। जीएसटी आर्थिक रिफॉर्म से भी आगे एक सामाजिक रिफॉर्म का भी एक नया तबका जो एक ईमानदारी के उत्सव की दिशा में ले जाने वाला ये बन रहा है।
Let's begin with the pre-GST era, before the introduction of GST. India's tax structure was complex, it was multi-layered. There were various direct and indirect taxes that varied also from state to state. Direct taxes were levied on individuals and businesses based on income or wealth. Indirect taxes applied to goods and services consumed by end users. So taxes like VAT, excise duty, service tax, central sales tax, they were levied at different stages of production and distribution. So it led to essentially a cascading effect on the consumer. Also, the lack of uniformity in tax rates across states resulted in market fragmentation, hindering the ease of doing business and stifling economic growth. GST sought to remove the artificial state boundaries, facilitating therefore free flow of goods and establishing an actual single national market. Now, the formation of the new indirect tax regime, GST, started way back in 2000, when the then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee set up a committee headed by the then Finance Minister of West Bengal, Asim Das Gupta, to design a GST model. What followed was years of consultations and debates between the central government and states to build a consensus about this mega reform. There was strong opposition to the rollout of GST, especially during the tenure of Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, when the Gujarat government led by Narendra Modi actually objected to GST's rollout. They cited poor IT infrastructure. Ironically enough, it was the Narendra Modi government at the centre which then passed the constitutional amendment bill for GST in August 2016, and like I told you in the beginning, it was finally implemented on July 1st, 2017.
The old India was economically fragmented. The new India will create one tax, one market and for one nation.
जो एक बार आपने टैक्स दे दिया इनपुट्स के ऊपर, आउटपुट के स्तर पे उसका आपको लाभ मिलने लगेगा। महंगाई के ऊपर भी लगाम लगेगी, टैक्स अवॉइडेंस कठिन होगा, रेट पहले की तुलना में कम होंगे, देश की जीडीपी को लाभ मिलेगा।
Now, a unified tax system, GST, was introduced with the objective of creating a single unified market by subsuming various indirect taxes under one umbrella. The GST Council, a federal body comprising of representatives from both the central and state governments, was established to oversee the implementation and administration of GST, ensuring a cooperative federalism approach. India implemented a dual GST model consisting of central GST and state GST, CGST and SGST essentially. While this framework enabled the centre as well as the states to have fiscal autonomy, it also created a somewhat complex tax architecture. Rather than one rate, the GST Council introduced a multi-rate structure with tax slabs of 5%, 12%, 18% and 28%, besides zero-rated and exempted goods. As of 2025, more than 1,370 goods and services are categorized under these slabs. While the intent was to maintain revenue neutrality and address the varying nature of goods and services, these multiple rates did complicate the tax structure, making it less straightforward than initially envisioned. And that's why critics argue that this undermined the core objective of GST of one nation, one tax, to simplify the tax system. GST has succeeded in creating a common national market with a seamless movement of goods across state borders. The elimination of checkposts, the reduction of logistics costs have improved supply chain efficiency. One of the biggest achievements of the GST regime has been the formalization of economic activity. At the time of rollout of GST, there were about 1.03 crore registered taxpayers. This figure had increased to more than 1.46 crore as of March 2025. So that's a 42% jump in merely 8 years. Contributing to this success is the use of technological interventions like e-waybills, which allow the real-time tracking of goods. 8 years since its historic rollout, GST has transformed the Indian tax systems in ways never seen before. But GST remains far from a good and simple tax it originally aimed to be. GST isn't a failed reform, but whether it realizes its complete potential will hinge on how the next phase of reform is essentially managed.